Corvette, Corvette.
Who shall say that the American dream is ended?
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
I have a dream today.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Alright, right now, let's take the fourth caller. It's gonna get your 4 tickets to get Smash Disco Sensation Saturday Night Fever.
We must act today in order to preserve tomorrow. And let there be no misunderstanding. We're going to begin to act, beginning today.
Corvette. 40 years of American history in the making.
You know, it's a thrill just sitting in this classic 1953 Chevrolet Corvette. A thrill much like the one you probably felt the first time you slid behind the wheel of your 93 Corvette. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for choosing Corvette and to assure you that everyone at Chevrolet is committed to your total satisfaction. Who'd have thought back in 1953 that Corvette would grow to become one of the most admired cars in America and one of the most respected performance cars in the entire world? Corvette's evolution has been dramatic and exciting. Your 1993 model represents the finest in Corvette design and engineering yet. We truly hope that you feel the same enthusiasm for your Corvette that we do. Again, please accept my personal thanks and enjoy your Corvette.
I'm John Heinrich, Development Manager for the 1993 Corvette. Corvette is truly one of the world's premier performance cars. That fact is clear to anybody who's ever driven one. But it's also much more. There's a special mystique and character that separates Corvette from anything else on the road. In the upcoming programs, we'll explore the many facets of the Corvette experience. We'll test its performance capabilities to get a feel for what those specification numbers you hear really mean. We'll go inside the assembly plant for a close-up look at the technology and people who build Corvette. We'll also review the operation of key features and offer special care instructions for your car. You'll hear directly from engineers who designed and developed some of the major technical systems on the 93 model. And then we'll take an exciting look at the evolution of Corvette from 1953 to today and maybe even tomorrow. Finally, 4-time Indy 500 champ Rick Mears and I will cover driving tips that will help you get the full potential out of Corvette. So let's begin by reviewing the performance capabilities of the 1993 Corvette and ZR-1. The excitement of driving a Corvette can hit you in many different ways. Its acceleration, handling, and braking are all extraordinary. In this program, we're going to demonstrate Corvette's performance characteristics, provide some insight into the design features that contribute to its performance, and most importantly, we'll give you a feel for what it can really do. And I don't know anybody who's better qualified to help me do that than four-time Indy champ Rick Mears.
What you're going to see in this first demonstration is the outstanding straight-line acceleration capability of Corvette and ZR-1.
On the track, with its 300 horsepower LT1 engine and 6-speed transmission, the 93 Corvette will run the quarter mile in under 13.5 seconds. ZR-1's LT5 engine develops 405 horsepower and on a test track breaks into the 12s in the quarter mile. Now let's see that again from inside the cockpit. That's where I think you can best appreciate Corvette's performance.
What we can't do in a video is let you feel the sensation as you're pushed back into your seat. But trust us, it's not a feeling you'll easily forget.
There are many factors that contribute to a car's 0 to 60 time. The most important is its horsepower to weight ratio. The less weight your engine has to move, the better the performance is going to be. That's why motorcycles can accelerate so quickly. They're relatively light machines with powerful engines. On a 1993 Corvette Coupe, the horsepower to weight ratio is 1 horsepower for each 11.11 pounds of car. For the convertible, it's 1 to 11.25 pounds. And on the ZR-1, it's 1 to 8.6 pounds. We use a significant amount of aluminum alloy on Corvette, including components in the front and rear suspensions and the powertrain. Along with its high strength, weight savings is one of the key benefits of incorporating aluminum in the design of a car. The lighter we make the car, and the more powerful we make the engine, the faster it's going to run 0 to 60.
Torque is what's important for the launch of the vehicle. To get a fast start in the acceleration demonstration you just saw, John revved up the engine to about 2,500 RPM before releasing the clutch. This allowed him to build up power in the flywheel to maximize his takeoff performance. With Corvette's automatic transmission, the torque converter clutch accomplishes the same thing, nearly doubling the amount of effective torque at takeoff.
That capability shows in its performance. A Corvette with an automatic transmission will run just a few tenths of a second slower than the manual in the quarter mile. Corvette's rear-wheel drivetrain also contributes to its takeoff performance. As you begin to accelerate forward, the balance of the weight is transferred towards the rear of the car. This creates downforce on the rear drive wheels, which results in more drive wheel traction than you would get from a front-wheel drive car that's shifting weight away from its drive wheels.
Another key performance attribute of Corvette and ZR-1 is how fast they can stop. When you read performance reviews in buff magazines, a common way they measure braking performance is by the distance it takes the car to go from 60 to 0 miles per hour. With its standard four-wheel disc brakes, it takes Corvette only about 125 feet to go from 60 to 0 miles per hour on dry pavement.
The system uses 12-inch rotors all the way around and dual piston calipers in the front to ensure optimum braking performance. The ZR-1 and Corvette Coupes with the Z07 performance package have a heavy-duty brake system with 13-inch front rotors. The heavy-duty performance brakes were first evaluated on the SCCA Escort endurance cars, undergoing hundreds of hours of grueling testing and racing before they were used on production models. With these brakes, the heavier ZR-1 can also stop from 60 to 0 in about 125 feet. Now let's move on to Corvette's handling characteristics. Lateral acceleration is one test of a car's handling ability. It's determined by the radius of the turn and the speed of the vehicle. The higher the lateral G number, the more side force the car can generate before losing adhesion to the road surface.
Corvette's tires, suspension design, front-to-rear balance, and low center of gravity all work together to optimize its lateral acceleration. Corvette's and ZR-1's ratings speak for themselves.
How well Corvette holds on the skid pad is directly related to how well it will handle the road for you. The two components that influence Corvette's handling ability most are its tires and independent four-wheel suspension system. The Goodyear GSC performance tires on 1993 Corvettes have an asymmetrical tread pattern. This design maximizes both wet and dry performance.
Corvette's front suspension is a wishbone design, a system that was first developed for race cars. And in the back, the independent setup uses a transverse-mounted fiberglass leaf spring. One of the biggest benefits of this four-wheel independent system is how effectively it adjusts wheel camber, which is the inward or outward tilt of the wheels as viewed from the front or the rear of the car. Allowing the wheels to tilt slightly helps the tires maintain a flat contact patch with the road. Sports cars are designed with stiff suspension to help minimize the amount of body pitch and roll during driving.
And while nobody will ever confuse the ride of a Corvette with that of a Cadillac sedan DeVille, the selective ride control system available on coupe and convertible and standard on ZR-1s does allow you to adjust the suspension for different needs.
After all, there are times when you prefer a softer ride.
Selective ride control is a computerized system that automatically adjusts shock absorber damping. The damping is regulated by an actuator that's mounted on top of each shock absorber. This actuator automatically adjusts the dampening rod between 6 different settings within each of the selective ride modes, touring, sport, or performance, depending on the speed of the vehicle.
When you're talking about handling, a car's weight distribution and center of gravity are important design characteristics. Ideally, you want to get as close to a 50-50 weight distribution between front and rear axle as possible.
The Corvette Coupe is 51-49, the convertible is 50-50, and because of its heavier engine, ZR-1 has a 52-48 bias towards the front. But this balance is only present when the car is sitting still. The dynamics of motion are always transferring the weight around, and that's why the center of gravity is so important.
The lower the center of gravity, the less weight transfer you're going to have from side to side when you corner, front to back when you accelerate, and back to front when you brake.
Corvette's center of gravity is only about 15 inches off the ground. Although this might make it a little tougher to get in and out of Corvette, the effort is certainly worth it.
For comparison, an Indy car's center of gravity is only about 12 inches from the ground. Balance, weight distribution, the center of gravity, the suspension, and tires all contribute to Corvette's handling. But what handling really means is the ability you have to control the car. And that's how Corvette impresses me most.
The demonstrations we've just shown tell a lot about Corvette's performance. But what counts most is how it all works together on the road. That's where you'll appreciate Corvette's capability too. It does everything right and helps you realize your full potential as a driver. Corvette's performance stats are truly world-class, but this car isn't just about numbers, it's about dreams. And the place where the Corvette dream becomes reality is the assembly plant in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Here's an insider's look at the technology, craftsmanship, and commitment to quality at the Corvette Assembly facility.
More than 3,500 components from the top suppliers worldwide converge in Bowling Green, Kentucky, where dedicated employees ply their trades, in a building that covers 1 million square feet and contains more than 7 miles of conveyors. These are the elements that work together to produce the 1993 Corvette, the world's premier sports car. The pride of Chevrolet comes together on the line at the Corvette Assembly Plant in Bowling Green, the only plant in the world charged with producing America's dream car.
If you think about the Corvette as the ultimate expression of automotive art, you'll watch the employees, each and every one takes a great deal of pride in the work that they do. They inspect their own work as well as the work of other people. They do that as part of the process to ensure that each and every Corvette that leaves this plant is as perfect as it can possibly be.
The building of Corvette is a deliberate, almost painstaking process. Each vehicle takes more than 5 days to build, and quality is foremost at every point along the assembly line. That quality begins with Corvette's rigid, uniframe construction. 53 robotic welders produce its strong skeleton, applying more than 1,200 spot welds in a matter of minutes. Another 120 inches of precision welds are carefully done by hand. The uniframe acts as a steel cage, which provides structural integrity and contributes greatly to the vehicle's overall safety. The result is one of the world's most structurally sound sports cars. Belying the strength of the steel uniframe is another of Corvette's trademarks, its sleek fiberglass body. Before the fiberglass panels are installed, they're wiped with a special solvent that unmasks any hidden defects on the surface. The panels are then attached to the uniframe with adhesives applied by hand. The actual bonding is done by machine to ensure precise adhesion. 10 major panels are joined to the uniframe, including rocker panels, the deck lid and halo, and the hood. Many of Corvette's body panels are lightweight fiberglass, allowing the coupe to maintain its trim curb weight of approximately 3,300 pounds. To ensure that the body panel assembly meets rigid design specifications, point check inspections are conducted regularly throughout the day. During these inspections, technicians use highly specialized instruments, checking body panels to guarantee that fit and alignment are exact on 3 different planes. Once the body is assembled and inspected for quality, the painting process begins. First, the body is prepared to provide a smooth surface. Painting is done with a combination of robotic and hand spraying, and each vehicle receives 6 coats of finish, 2 coats of primer, 2 coats of enamel base coat or color coat, and 2 coats of clear coat. The entire process takes approximately 14 hours per vehicle and culminates in a detailed inspection of every car. While its lustrous and durable body is assembled, the core of Corvette Performance is simultaneously coming together. The car's chassis, drivetrain, and suspension are assembled at various points along the line. The independent rear suspension features a 5-link design, a glass epoxy monoleaf spring, limited slip differential, and many aluminum components. Like the rear suspension, the front suspension is also independent, utilizes many lightweight aluminum components and a monoleaf spring. It also features a tubular steel stabilizer bar and Bilstein shock absorbers. Once the front and rear sub-assemblies are complete, they're each joined to the engine and then the drive shaft. Performance has always been a Corvette benchmark, and that heritage is carried on in 1993. Coupes and convertibles are powered by a 300 horsepower LT1 engine, built specifically for Chevrolet by GM Powertrain in Flint, Michigan. At the heart of the ZR-1 beats a truly dominant engine, the LT5, designed by General Motors in conjunction with Lotus and built by Mercury Marine in Stillwater, Oklahoma. The LT5 launches ZR-1 down the road with an incredible 405 horsepower. With that kind of power, it's no wonder Corvette's interior resembles the cockpit of a fighter jet. Corvette's slick body and sturdy chassis are then married, quite literally in fact, to form a nearly complete vehicle. At the marriage area, the body slowly drops down from above to be mated with the chassis. The two are joined at 14 separate contact points to assure a perfect match. Wheels and tires are also married, so to speak, at another location within the plant. Corvette's Goodyear GSC asymmetrical tires are teamed with directional 17-inch aluminum wheels and then perfectly mounted and balanced. First, there's the uniformity machine, which simulates the tire on the road, checking for tire integrity to avoid future and unwanted vibrations. The Bowling Green plant is unique in that it checks 100% of its tires for uniformity. Next is the dynamic balance, which determines exactly how much weight should be added to the inner and outer flanges of the wheel and precisely where the weight should be placed. And finally, the static balance, where the weights are double-checked to within 1/4 ounce of accuracy. Once the wheels are ideally balanced, they're ready to be mounted on the vehicles. At the startup area, gasoline is added to the tank, the fuel pump is turned on, the system is primed, and each Corvette is fired up for the first time. Now the car is ready to roll. The end of the assembly line marks the first time Corvette's tires touch the ground. Vehicles are driven off the line and over a series of speed bumps to help settle the front and rear suspensions. All four wheels are precisely aligned, contributing to Corvette's responsive handling. Then, because Corvette owners demand perfection, the vehicles undergo an extensive battery of quality checks and performance tests. There's the sonic test that checks critical seals to see if sound escapes from the passenger compartment. The water test, which douses the car from several angles to check for possible leaks. And for many of the vehicles, the dynamometer, to ensure engines are functioning correctly and to measure their emission levels. All this is done to provide Corvette buyers with an ownership experience unmatched by lesser vehicles.
Corvette Action Center, Jerry.
Part of that experience includes customer assistance at the factory. Enter the Corvette Action Center.
Models, there's a feature that allows you to operate your power windows or your radio for up to 15 minutes after the
Located in the plant, the Action Center answers approximately 150 product-related questions per day. Of course, your local Chevrolet dealer should always be your first source of expertise. However, if your dealer is unable to answer your question, you can reach the Corvette Action Center at area code 502-745-8101 or 1-800-457-VETT. They're open for business Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. until 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Structural integrity, remarkable power, ultra-high quality, seductively attractive. The world's most distinguished sports car, built for the world's most discerning buyers.
An important part of the Corvette experience is your day-to-day enjoyment of the car. To help you get the most out of everything your Corvette has to offer, this segment provides concise, easy-to-follow instructions on the operation of key controls and features. You'll also find valuable information in your owner's manual. Reading it will help give you an even greater understanding and appreciation for your Corvette. When more in-depth information on a feature that we're covering is available in the owner's manual, this special icon will appear on the screen.
ZR-1 is a sophisticated world-class car with many advanced systems. Your knowledge and understanding of how these features operate will greatly enhance your ownership enjoyment. This program overviews the operation of key features on the 1993 ZR-1 and explains things that you might notice that are a part of the car's normal operation. Also be sure to read your owner's manual. It's a comprehensive guide to your car and will help you understand more fully the finer points of operating a best-in-class car like ZR-1. At the back, there's also easy reference gas station information graphics that give you vital statistics and the page numbers for additional information. New for 1993, all Corvettes and ZR-1s are equipped with passive keyless entry, a system commonly referred to as PKE. It automatically unlocks the car and disarms the security system as you approach the vehicle. The system's range is approximately 5 to 7 feet. As you leave the vehicle, it automatically locks the doors and turns on the alarm. The horn also honks to let you know that the car is locked and secure. In the next few minutes, we'll review the step-by-step procedures for programming PKE, how you can turn the system on and off, and the way to switch between the two operating modes that unlock either the driver's door or both doors. Finally, we'll provide you with useful tips for PKE operation. In most cases, PKE programming will have been done at the dealership before or during delivery. If your passive keyless entry is already operating, there's no need to program it at this time. If it's not operating, you first need to know if it is programmed but simply turned off. Two simple steps will help you determine this. First, make sure the key is out of the ignition and the radio is off. Second, press and hold the door button on the key fob for more than 2 seconds. If the system is programmed, the doors will lock and then unlock to tell you that it is now turned on. If nothing happens, you will need to program the system. Programming creates a unique computerized security code between the transmitter key fob and your car's PKE receiver. More than 1 million possible security code combinations exist, so there's very little chance of two cars having identical codes. There are 7 easy steps in programming PKE. First, move all the transmitters to be programmed out of range of the vehicle. The approximate ranges for coupe and convertible models are shown in this diagram. Second, put the key in the ignition and turn it to the on position, but do not start the car. Third, push the trip auto button twice. And fourth, within 5 seconds, push and hold the fuel info button until the passive keyless entry light illuminates on the driver information center. The fifth step is to turn the ignition off, but do not remove the key. You'll see the passive keyless entry light start flashing once per second. Step number 6 is to bring the first transmitter into range. Once the receiver recognizes it, the passive keyless entry light will illuminate solid. Please remember to only bring one transmitter into range at a time. Finally, take the transmitter out of range. The DIC light will then start flashing 2 times per second. If a second or third transmitter needs to be programmed, simply repeat steps 6 and 7. Once all transmitters are programmed, remove the key from the ignition. If you ever add an additional transmitter, you will need to reprogram your vehicle with all transmitters at the same time. You can also reprogram if you want to ensure programming security so no other transmitters will work. Once the system is programmed, you can easily turn it on and off and switch between modes. Turn it on and off as follows. First, bring the transmitter into range and make sure the key is out of the ignition. Second, press and hold the door button on the transmitter for more than 2 seconds. The doors will then lock and unlock. If the system was on, it's now off, and if it was off, it's now on. The Driver Information Center also lets you know PKE status every time you turn on the ignition. If PKE is on, the passive keyless entry light will illuminate for 2 seconds. If it's off, the light will not appear. It's recommended to turn the system off if you take the keys and leave someone waiting in the car so you don't set off the alarm if they open the door. Or if you'll be working in or around the car and moving in and out of the system's range. When the PKE is on, you can choose between 2 modes of operation. The first mode unlocks the driver's door as you approach the car, while the second mode unlocks both doors. Either locks both doors as you walk away from the car. To select the operating mode that's most convenient for you, follow these 2 steps. First, bring the transmitter into range and place the key in the ignition, but do not turn it on. Second, press and hold the door button on the transmitter fob for more than 2 seconds. When the system recognizes the transmitter, both doors will lock, and then either the driver's door or both doors will unlock. This tells you which mode the system is now in. For example, if only the driver's door unlocks, only it will unlock as you approach the vehicle. To activate the other mode, simply repeat this procedure by holding the door button for more than 2 seconds again. On coupe models, the key fob also serves as a remote for the passenger's door if your PKE system is in the driver's door only mode. Simply press the door button to unlock the passenger side. It also has a button to operate the rear hatch. On Corvette convertible, the key fob only has a door button to operate the passenger side. You'll also find that the system is most effective when the transmitter fob is held in a vertical position, just like it naturally lies when you have your keys in your pocket. Since PKE is new, here are a few additional features and operating tips that will help you become more accustomed to it. Metal objects, such as an aluminum shell briefcase, can diminish or block the signal. Also make sure that when you leave the vehicle, both doors are closed completely. The system will not activate if a door is ajar. Listen for the horn. If it doesn't sound, the car hasn't locked. The transmitter uses a common photography battery that is available at most camera shops. Battery life expectancy is approximately 18 months. If you notice that the system's range is decreasing, it's probably time to replace the battery. Finally, if the key is fully in the ignition, passive keyless entry prevents you from locking your keys in the car. Please read your owner's manual for more information and operating tips on passive keyless entry. Next, let's review Corvette's instrument cluster and controls. To the right of the digital speedometer, you'll see analog gauges that provide quick reference readouts for oil pressure, oil temperature, coolant temperature, and voltage. When you want exact digital readouts, use the Gauges button on the trip monitor to cycle through readings for oil temperature, coolant temperature, and volts. You may notice that the gauge and digital readouts do not always match exactly because they use 2 different types of sensors. This is normal. Refer to the digital readouts for the highest degree of accuracy. Other features of the trip monitor include a fuel info button that lets you check instant or average economy and range. There's also the choice of English or metric graphic readouts. Use the Trip Odo button to alternate between the odometer and trip odometer. Press the Trip Reset button each time you want to zero out the trip odometer. Also, once the analog fuel gauge reaches its last bar, the Check Gauges light will illuminate to alert you to the need for fuel. Be sure to press the fuel reset for a couple of seconds every time you fill the gas tank. This resets the system to properly calculate your fuel economy. You'll also notice that at the top of the trip monitor, there's a small electronic eye that adjusts instrument panel readouts for the best visibility. All Corvettes are equipped with a standard engine oil life monitor. It measures engine temperature and revolutions to calculate the approximate life expectancy of your motor oil. The change oil light will illuminate next to the tachometer to signal the need for an oil change. When the oil is changed, reset the oil life monitor as follows. Turn the ignition to the on position, but do not start the car. Then press the English metric button on the trip monitor. Within 5 seconds, press the English metric button a second time. Within 5 seconds of that, press the Gauges button and hold it in. The change oil light will begin flashing. Keep the Gauges button pressed until the change oil light stops flashing and goes out. This takes about 10 seconds. The oil life monitor is now reset. Please remember, however, this feature only serves as a reminder of the need for service. Always change your oil as recommended in the owner's manual, even if the change oil light has not yet come on. Please also remember that your ZR-1's LT5 engine is factory filled with synthetic motor oil, and it is recommended for all oil changes. Located next to the trip monitor is the Driver Information Center. Your owner's manual has complete descriptions of what all the DIC lights mean and what you should do if they signal a need for service to one of the systems. There will be times when you'll notice the ABS active light come on. For example, if you're on a washboard road or changing lanes in the snow, the light may appear because the computer senses speed differences between the wheels. When all four wheels are again rotating at the same speed, the light will go out. Corvette's acceleration slip regulation traction control system is automatically turned on each time you start the car. You'll know the times when ASR is functioning by the feedback you feel in the accelerator pedal and the ASR active light on the DIC. ASR might also activate briefly if you drive over a railroad crossing or other bumpy surface. When ASR activates, cruise control is automatically disengaged and must be manually reset. The on-off switch for ASR is located on the left-hand side of the instrument panel, just above the light control. When you turn it off, the ASR off light illuminates on the DIC, and if the system needs to be checked, the service ASR light will illuminate. Directly below the DIC are Corvette's climate controls. Complete instructions for the standard climate controls and this available electronic system, which includes air conditioning settings for both bi-level and maximum cooling, are thoroughly covered in your owner's manual. Features that all Corvette sound systems share on their cassette players, as well as the CD player on the Gold Series system, include a search button that advances to the next selection, a repeat button that automatically replays the previous selection, and a scan function that plays the first 8 seconds of each selection. When the tape or CD reaches the piece you want to hear, simply push the scan button again. The search and scan buttons work for the cassette and CD players only. To search for the next radio station, simply press the auto button and then either the up or down arrow on the tune button. The radio will automatically stop at the next station. Setting the clock is a simple procedure. First, push the set button. The indicator light will glow for 5 seconds. Then use the tune down arrow to set the hour and the tune up arrow to set the minutes. Corvette convenience features include a delayed accessory bus that allows you to operate the sound system and windows for several minutes after the car has been turned off or until a door is opened. There's also a turn signal reminder chime if the indicator has been left on for more than 1 mile of driving. ZR-1's power control is located below the sound system. To activate the full power mode, insert the power key and turn it to the full position when the engine is running. An LED light will illuminate when full power is activated. When the car is turned off, the system automatically defaults to the normal driving mode. Every time you start up, if full power is required, you must turn the power key back to the full power mode. Corvette is an exciting car to own and drive. Its advanced systems and features provide a high level of performance, luxury, and comfort. Your ability to operate its features to their fullest potential can greatly increase your enjoyment of your 1993 Corvette.
For some Corvette owners, caring for their cars is a passion. For others, it's simply another fun part of ownership. Whichever best describes you, we've put together a handful of valuable care and maintenance tips that will help you preserve and protect your investment.
Your 1993 ZR-1 belongs to a special family of cars, adding a new dimension to Corvette's rich heritage and tradition. Proper care of your car will help ensure its lasting beauty and value. Caring for your ZR-1 is an enjoyable part of the ownership experience. To protect it from environmental elements, wash your ZR-1 often, but avoid doing it in the middle of bright days under direct sunlight. Always use a mild liquid hand soap or specially formulated car washes. Strong or abrasive cleansers might damage Corvette's base coat clear coat paint finish. Start by rinsing the body surfaces to wash away any loose dirt. Then apply the wash water with a soft, non-abrasive cloth, such as a baby diaper or other cotton cloth. Rinse the car off promptly. And then dry it with a clean, soft chamois. This will help avoid water spotting and surface scratches. If your ZR-1 is equipped with the available transparent acrylic roof panel, special care should be taken to avoid scratches. After rinsing off loose dirt and letting the surface dry, spray on GM glass cleaner or another household glass cleaner. Leave the cleaner on the panel for 1 minute, and then wipe it off with a soft lint-free cloth. Corvette's aluminum wheels have a protective coating that helps maintain their brilliant finish. Clean the wheels with mild soap and a soft cloth. Do not use chrome polish, abrasive cleaners, or brushes on the wheels. These could all damage the coating. If you choose to use a rubber protectant on your tires, give the tires a chance to dry. Then apply it to a sponge or cloth first and wipe the tires. Do not wax your Corvette for the first 60 days because any new paint surface needs time to fully cure. When it is time to wax, use only non-abrasive compounds that are approved for base coat clear coat paint finishes. Polysealants, often sold as paint protector, are not recommended. When you polish your car, it's also a good idea to mask off the door handles to prevent wax buildup on the black trim. Apply the wax carefully by hand, finessing the body with light strokes. Aggressive polishing can dull the finish or leave swirl marks. If you machine polish, use an oscillating buffer only. And you can easily remove excess wax from around marker lamps with a detailing brush. It looks like a toothbrush, but the bristles are much softer. Only mild soap and warm water is required to clean interior trim, including leather seats, the center console, and top of the instrument panel. Your owner's manual has complete instructions for removing carpet and upholstery stains. If you decide to clean engine components, do not use any alkaline-based cleansers. They will discolor aluminum. Finally, if you plan to store your Corvette for extended periods of time, a car cover is a wise investment. Choose one with a flannel or cotton lining to provide protection against scratches. Beyond protecting its appearance, there are other care procedures you should practice with your car. Always close the clamshell hood carefully by lining up the upper and lower portions of the prop rod and then lowering the hood to about 12 inches above the cowl. Then gently drop it and press down on the left side near the cowl to make sure it's latched. Whenever you remove or replace the roof panel, make sure the car is parked on a level surface. It makes installation and removal of the panel easier. When stowing the panel, keep it top up and make sure it fits firmly into the brackets on each side of the rear stowage compartment. Then push forward and carefully lower the front edge into the safety latch. This will help prevent the panel from rattling and possible damage. When closing the rear hatch glass, take special care to always close from directly above the striker assembly. This will help prevent damage to the weather strip. Proper care of your tires will help ensure their performance and longevity. Be sure to check your tire pressure regularly. On high-performance, low-profile tire designs, like Corvette's Eagle GSCs, it's often difficult to detect underinflation just by looking at the tire. This is also why you should check all 4 tires if your ZR-1 standard low tire pressure warning system illuminates the low tire pressure light on the driver information center. Because of the variations in front and rear wheel and tire sizes on most models for 1993 and the asymmetrical tread patterns on the Goodyear Eagle GSCs, Corvette's tires cannot be rotated. Also note that when your ZR-1's wheels need to be removed, there's a special socket for wheel lug nuts in the center console or your owner's portfolio. This socket is compatible with most air-powered lug wrenches, and its thin wall design will help prevent damage to your wheels. Be sure you provide it to the technician who will be servicing your car. Since Corvette is a sophisticated performance car, all routine maintenance and any service should be performed by your Chevrolet dealer. Chevrolet technicians are specially trained on Corvette and utilize state-of-the-art computerized diagnostic equipment. Owning a Corvette is a special experience. Not only is it one of the most advanced production sports cars in the world today, it has an allure that has grown stronger with the test of time.
Corvette's power teams, acceleration slip regulation, and passive keyless entry are just a few of the innovations that showcase its leading-edge technology. This video offers a unique opportunity to hear directly from some of the engineers on our team who were involved in the 1993 Corvette's design and development. The team's commitment to excellence is something that I personally take great pride in, and it's something that shows in every aspect of this car.
The 1993 Corvette is a showcase for some of the latest advancements in automotive technology. Just as the 1953 Corvette helped pioneer the use of fiberglass in automotive design, so too do today's advancements help deliver the kind of performance, drivability, and convenience people expect from a world-class car.
The objective is to stay as the leader of the pack, to stay in the forefront of the sports car market. And the only way we can maintain our status is by doing some of the things that we've done, by bringing out technical highlights such as PKE, such as 405 horsepower ZR-1s, by maintaining a world-class vehicle in terms of quality, technology leadership.
Corvette has always been revered for its world-class performance, and the ZR-1's LT5 engine takes that tradition to new heights in 1993. The LT5 is a state-of-the-art multi-valve dual overhead cam engine. The engine block, water pump, intake manifold, and cylinder heads are all made of lightweight aluminum for maximum performance characteristics. LT5 horsepower is increased this year from 375 to 405. More torque has also been added, generating 385 foot-pounds compared to 375 in 1992. These performance enhancements were accomplished through the careful fine-tuning of the LT5's inlet ports and other induction components.
Because of the low-volume nature of the LT5 engine, we're able to port the inlet track at the cylinder head, much like you would do in a race shop environment. To handle that flow, the intake valve has been changed as well to include a back cut angle on the back side of the valve to increase the flow down into the combustion chamber. But we must move back upstream and talk about the other pieces that are involved in the inlet track. The next area is the injector housing. We found that the injector housing boss area on the primary injector could be reduced in diameter and hence increase the flow. Moving further upstream, we find the inlet manifold inlet track diameters have also been increased, and we have done some match porting in those tracks and also pinned them to the injector housing so that we have perfect alignment between the two parts.
Structural enhancements have also been made to the LT5 engine in 1993 to complement its increased performance.
First, we've added 2 bolts to the main bearing caps. Historically, a small block Chevy enthusiast would call that a 4-bolt main. The pistons have also been changed to increase their strength. The 93 piston has more material in the pin boss area. To compensate for the increased mass of the piston, the free-floating wrist pins have been reduced in weight, as well as the connecting rod at both ends.
Corvette is noted for its precise handling, and the continuing evolvement of its suspension system is an important story for 1993.
We started out with a relatively stiff suspension in 1984, and we've been working to try and make the suspension softer every year as the car evolves, and to still maintain that sports car, that race car characteristic that the car is known for.
1993
is a year of refinement for the Corvette chassis. The most visible area of change will be in the area of tire sizes. When we introduced the ZR-1, we put a larger tire in the rear to better balance the ride and handling characteristics. For 1993, we're going to take what we learned from the ZR-1 and put it into the LT1 Corvettes. The 93 LT1 Corvette has got this P255 on an 8.5-inch wheel on the front. It's got this P285 on a 9.5-inch wheel on the rear. This allows us to enhance the ride quality without compromising the handling performance. From the vehicle dynamics perspective, the front to rear tire size ensures that you always end up with terminal understeer without degrading the transient characteristics. In a layman's term, it means the front of the car steers and the rear of the car provides traction.
In 1992, an all-new acceleration slip regulation traction control system was introduced on Corvette. ASR is again standard on all Corvette models for 1993.
The design objective of ASR was to make the Corvette an all-seasons vehicle. Along with the Goodyear GSC tires and the ASR, I think we've accomplished that pretty good in the Corvette.
In this split coefficient drag demo, one side of each car is on ice and the other on dry pavement. ASR is turned off on one Corvette while it's active on the other. The comparison between the two cars clearly shows how ASR maximizes the available traction and clearly outmatches the driver, who is relying solely on his own skill to keep the car moving straight ahead.
The driver will notice these benefits the most primarily when he's unaware of the coefficient conditions that are existing on the road, such as sand at an intersection, passing during freezing conditions where the road might be icy and he's unaware of it. It's an indicator that you should slow down, that you're being too aggressive for the existing conditions.
The ASR control unit is located underneath the floor behind the driver's seat. The same module also operates Corvette's anti-lock brake system. If the system senses excessive wheel slip, it maximizes the available traction by controlling engine torque and/or brake intervention. Torque is controlled both by retarding spark to the engine and a throttle relaxer. When the throttle relaxer engages, the driver feels feedback through the accelerator pedal. Brake intervention helps stop the wheels from spinning by gently applying and releasing brake line pressure. Brake intervention does not activate at speeds above 50 miles per hour. A light on the driver information center signals any time the system is active.
Different slip thresholds are used depending on if the vehicle is cornering, acceleration rate, and the speed of the vehicle.
There's also a button that allows drivers to turn ASR off.
Excessive slip in some snow conditions is desirable, where you literally dig right through the snow to make the car move. If the ASR were on, you lose the momentum because we stop the wheel from slipping, and when you lose the momentum, you lose your forward velocity.
ASR is another Corvette innovation that can benefit all drivers in everyday driving situations.
It takes the intimidation away of driving a high horsepower car, and even a skilled driver can benefit from it. There are conditions you get into where coefficients, you just aren't aware of the coefficient that's out there, and the car will respond to those.
The Corvette has always been a testbed for new technology, and passive keyless entry is one such feature. There's keyless entry systems, but none of them are passive. None of them have the features that PKE has.
The intent of the passive keyless entry system was to add customer convenience to current active keyless entry systems. Passive keyless entry adds automatic locking and unlocking to keyless entry. It's unique to Corvette. The first component is a transmitter that is carried by the owner of the car. There are two antennas that are located in the vehicle, and there's a receiver that is located in the instrument panel. What you can see is the coil of wire that is used as the antenna for the transmitter. You're also looking at a battery which is readily available at a camera shop, and two switches that are used for the active features. The last thing is a motion sensor. When it senses motion, it turns on the transmitter, as you can hear, and after sitting for 25 seconds, it will turn off the transmitter to conserve battery life. The system operates by setting up a sensing range using the antennas around the car. It's always continuously looking for a transmitter, and as the owner carries the transmitter, a motion sensor inside of it moves around, activating the transmitter. When the transmitter is brought into range, the receiver picks up a ID signal from the transmitter, unlocks the doors, and turns off the alarm, and also turns on the courtesy lights. Once you leave the car, the PKE receiver senses that the transmitter has left the range. It locks the doors, arms the alarm, turns off the courtesy lights, and honks the horn briefly to let the driver know that the doors have locked and the alarm has armed. The chance that two cars having the same code is very improbable because of two things that Corvette has done to prevent this. First of all, no two transmitters are alike. There are over 1 million ID codes, and each transmitter has its own ID code. Secondly, when a transmitter is programmed to a car, the programming procedure erases all previous codes, so the owner knows that his transmitter is the only transmitter programmed to that car.
Corvette's technology is continuously evolving. Engineers are always looking for ways to improve quality, performance, and reliability. An example of this is the new Mini Maxi Fuse system for 1993.
By mini fuse, we mean on the fuse panel that's on the right-hand side of the instrument panel, we've gone to a much smaller fuse, which has allowed us to use smaller wiring, which means less mass, less weight for the car. At the same time, it also means that if a circuit blows in the car, it'll only take out that single item rather than several 3 or 4 items and result in a walk home for the customer. Maxi fuses, which are located in the engine compartment, replace fusible links which we had been using in the past. And they really represent a much, much greater improvement in reliability and serviceability. The 93 Corvette represents an improvement in what we've done in the past, pulling together quality improvements, feature improvements, technology improvements, to give you the best Corvette that we can produce.
We've talked a lot about the 1993 Corvette's performance, design, and features. But what really sets Corvette apart from all others is its rich history. In this segment, you'll be treated to a look back at the 40 years of Corvette, covering its development during the early years, the role it has played in American culture, and other innovations and accomplishments that have made Corvette America's dream car.
No car has ever, or quite probably will ever again, endear itself to America like Corvette. Hello, I'm Chris Economaki, and I've been involved with automobiles and racing as a journalist and enthusiast going on 60 years. And during that time, one of the richest stories in America has been the evolution of the Chevrolet Corvette. This is the 40th anniversary edition, 1993 Corvette. It's a fitting tribute to America's longest running production sports car as it marks the beginning of its 41st year. But to really appreciate what makes this car so special, we need to look back at where it came from and what Corvette has meant over the years. Corvette debuted in January of 1953 as a show car in GM's Motorama, the place, New York's prestigious Waldorf Astoria Hotel. It was a stylish two-seat convertible, designed to show the world that GM could design a sports car to compete with European nameplates like Jaguar and MG. Chevrolet executives used the show to test acceptance of Corvette and then make a final decision on whether to produce the car based on the public's reaction. Well, the response was overwhelmingly positive, and production began that June in a temporary assembly facility in Flint, Michigan. The 1953 Corvettes were built by hand and appeared nearly identical to the Motorama car. All were polo white with red interiors and included the only 2 options available, an AM radio and a heater. The early Corvettes also won the praises of the automotive press. Chevrolet has produced a bucket seat roadster that will hold its own with Europe's best road motor trend. From then on, Corvette has been one of the favorite topics of buff magazine writers. When the 63 Stingrays were selling as fast as Chevrolet could build them, Motor Trend wrote, "We're happy to see the Vette get the public acceptance we've always felt it deserved." Road and Track likened the exciting new styling of the 1968 model to that of Ferrari. And when the much-anticipated 1984 Corvette was unveiled, Motor Trend's headline exclaimed, "An American original, a world-class performer, and a job well done." Only 300 of the 1953 cars were produced, making this the rarest of the model years. One of the most innovative aspects of the car was its fiberglass body. It marked a radical departure from sheet metal, and some skeptics questioned whether it would gain public acceptance. And while doubts lingered for a few years, the fiberglass body slowly gained acceptance and praise, becoming the Corvette trademark it is today. Corvette's fiberglass has taken many shapes over the years. The original Roadsters, Stingray coupes and convertibles that were introduced in 1963. Then the dramatic styling evolution that began with the 1968 model and continued through 1982. And finally, the current generation models. And through it all, Corvette's original design intent as a two-seat American sports car never wavered.
40 years of Corvettes have produced many great cars, and I think each and every car has its own unique character, its personality. They're bold cars, they're very expressive, but they all have a couple of cues, especially over the past, let's say, 30 years, that seem to be common threads woven between the cars, and I like to consider those design elements, as we refer to them, as the thing that we try to incorporate in all of our Corvettes. Current cars, some of the past ones, and of course as we look forward in the future.
But after the stunning success of more than 3,600 sales in 1954, Corvette's future became uncertain. Its performance wasn't meeting expectations, and sales fell to 700 units in 1955. Remember, this was supposed to be America's first true sports car. The original Corvettes were equipped with Chevrolet's existing 235 cubic inch six-cylinder engine, modified with an innovative three-carburetor design and dual exhaust to increase performance. The engine, dubbed the Blue Flame Special, generated 150 horsepower. It was certainly impressive for a six-cylinder, the most powerful of its day, but it still didn't measure up to the European competition. Furthermore, the transmission was a two-speed Power Glide automatic, convenient and reliable, but hardly the choice of performance enthusiasts who preferred manual transmissions. That would soon change, however, and the word performance would become synonymous with Corvette. In 1955, a 265 cubic inch V8 generating 195 horsepower was offered, and near the end of the model year, a three-speed manual transmission found its way into a few production cars. That laid the foundation for great things to come. In 1957, Corvette was one of the first cars in the world to make a fuel-injected engine with a four-speed manual transmission. Now Corvette had style and performance, establishing a strong foothold in the market.
Corvette keeps its famed appearance, but has some bright new touches in styling. There are bigger Corvette engines, too. The base power plant is a brand new 327 cubic inch engine, delivering up to 360 horsepower.
And Corvette's performance continued to develop through the years.
Only Chevrolet and General Motors, with their management leadership, vast resources, and great vision, could successfully plan and produce this true all-American sports car, the Corvette Stingray.
Other Corvette performance milestones include the introduction of the big block V8 in 1965. Checking in at 396 cubic inches, it generated 425 horsepower. In 1967, the limited production L88 Corvette was officially rated. Some Corvette historians believe that figure was artificially low. Only 20 of these L88 Corvettes were built, making them treasured prizes among Corvette collectors. Corvette also elevated Chevy's small block V8 performance to new levels. The original high-performance LT1 engine, a 350 cubic inch small block, was introduced in 1970. It generated 370 horsepower. I asked Dave McClellan, Corvette Engineering Director, how he would characterize Corvette's performance of the 1960s and early 70s.
The early Corvettes were exciting, visceral, fast automobiles. Their customers just enjoyed them for the raw, wind-in-the-face experience that they gave them.
1971 was the last year for gross horsepower ratings. The industry changed to a net rating system that took into account the exhaust system, vehicle accessories, and other components. It provided a truer measure of an engine's performance, and is still used today. In the mid-70s to the early 80s, Corvette performance fell victim to the oil crunch and increasing government regulation. After 1974, the big block was gone, and by 1981, the standard 350 cubic inch engine produced only 190 horsepower. The introduction of the new generation Corvette in 1984 rekindled Corvette performance. The standard 5.7 liter V8 was refined every year. In 1990, the all-new ZR-1 coupe debuted with a 375 horsepower LT5 engine. It featured many aluminum components, and the LT5 introduced dual overhead cams and 4 valves per cylinder. Corvette performance continued to grow in 1992 with the introduction of the second generation LT1, returning 300 horsepower to the standard Corvette. And for 1993, LT5 output reached 405 horsepower.
Corvettes today are really fast, and they're fast compared with the Corvettes of any era. The LT1 motor was named LT1 in honor of a very high-point historic powertrain, and today's LT1, because of not only its horsepower, but also the rest of the chassis, is faster than the LT1 of yesteryear.
Now, when you talk about Corvette performance on the street, your thoughts naturally turn to its performance on the racetrack. Corvette's involvement in motorsports goes back almost as far as the car itself. I was there in 1955 when ZR-1 himself, driving a V8-powered Corvette, set a new record in the Daytona measured mile, racing over the sand at just over 150 miles per hour. Corvette was off to the races. The 12-hour endurance race at Sebring was one of its first tests against international competition.
Jaguar of England is represented by a team of 4 special D-type racing cars. The Maserati factory of Italy has entered 4 cars of new and advanced design. Ferrari of Italy has countered with 4 machines more than 400 horsepower each.
On that day, a production Corvette finished first in class and 12th overall, an impressive showing against seasoned competitors. In the years that followed, Corvette enjoyed tremendous success in Sports Car Club of America's production car classes, winning titles every year from 1956 through 1962. Carroll Shelby's Cobra dominated SCCA racing in the mid-60s, but by 1969, Corvette was back in the winner's circle on a regular basis. However, Corvette's brightest success on the track has come recently. In 1987, after winning every race in the SCCA's Escort Endurance Series for 3 years running, Corvette was banned from competition in the series. For the next 2 years, identically prepared Corvettes faced off against each other in the special SCCA Corvette Challenge Series, resulting in some of the closest and most exciting production car racing ever seen. Then in 1990, Corvette was invited back to compete in the SCCA Escort World Challenge. But the competition didn't fare any better, as Corvette grabbed the World Challenge titles for both the 90 and 91 seasons. Over the years, racing has also helped in the development of Corvette, giving engineers the ability to test designs and components under the most extreme conditions. Looking back at the 40 years of Corvette, however, involves much more than simply tracing the development of an automobile. Perhaps no other car in history has meant more to our culture and sense of American pride than Corvette. Every year, thousands of people attend Corvette events, from local Corvette club displays to national events like Bloomington Gold that attract up to 40,000 people over a weekend. And in Bowling Green, Kentucky, a permanent home for the National Corvette Museum is currently under construction. Scheduled to open in late 1993, The museum will showcase Corvette's rich and proud history. But Corvette's popularity extends far beyond just hardcore enthusiasts and other interested folks. For 5 decades, it has been a part of our pop culture. You could say that America and Corvette have grown up together. In the early 60s, television viewers followed the lives of Todd Stiles and Buzz Murdoch as they drove their Corvette in search of adventure in the popular series Route 66. Even today, Corvette enthusiasts hold road rallies along the remaining sections of the original Route 66. On the big screen, Corvette has appeared in dozens of films. Corvette has also been immortalized in songs in a variety of music categories, from pop artist Jan and Dean's Dead Man's Curve and country western singer George Jones's The One I Loved Back Then, to a ballad titled Little Red Corvette by rock star Prince. And if you want to read about Corvette, you'll find Corvette history books on the shelves of just about any library or bookstore, and several Corvette magazines enjoy loyal readership. Yes, the Corvette dream is alive and well across America. But where does Corvette go next? With such a rich history, you can't help but get excited about Corvette's future.
The emphasis on Corvette, I think, is constant. It never changes. It's performance and design. It's really the marriage of the two and pushing that envelope, but always keeping the Corvette customer, the Corvette heritage in mind. How far out you can go, but still be a Corvette, I think, is key.
This Serv 3, the latest of Corvette experimental research vehicles, may hold some clue as to what the next generation Corvette might bring. A distinctive and functional shape, and an equally exciting and ergonomic interior.
I keep getting asked, what's the next Corvette going to be? And I can't tell anybody. And that's the worst thing that can happen to me, is to know what it's going to be and not be able to tell anybody.
There are people who know what the next Corvette will be like, but they're not telling. Just remember, the 1953 Corvette was also a concept car.
When you're driving, you can't take anything for granted. You must use your senses to be constantly aware of your actions. How your car is performing, and what the drivers around you are doing. And that's as true on the street as it is on the racetrack.
Rick and I have learned a lot in our years around cars and racing. We both have a tremendous appreciation for the most important safety feature in the car, the driver. We'd like to use our experience to offer you some tips that can help make driving Corvette safe and enjoyable.
It's a good idea to get into a habit of routine safety inspections. They only take a few minutes. You can bet that we never take a race car out on the racetrack without the crew first making sure everything is in working order. You're your own crew, so be sure you check your headlights and brake lights regularly. You'll also know if there's any problem with your turn signals if the indicators on the IP don't flash. In addition to the lights, also inspect all fluid levels, including windshield washer solvent. Look for any signs of damage to the hoses and the serpentine accessory drive belt, and check the pressure in all 4 tires. Instructions for all of these procedures are covered in your owner's manual and maintenance schedule.
When you're ready to go, the first thing you need to think about is your seating position. Sitting too far back is a common mistake that many people make. They're away from the controls and not taking full advantage of the leverage they have in their arms and legs to operate them. Now here's a simple tip about seating positions. Sit close enough so that if you have an automatic transmission, you can place your right foot behind the brake pedal. Or if you have a manual transmission, sit close enough so that you can depress the clutch without fully extending your right leg. If this is closer than you usually sit, it'll seem different, but it shouldn't take long before it begins to feel more natural. Then lower the steering wheel into position so that it doesn't interfere with your leg movement.
Where and how you grip the steering wheel is also very important. Your left hand should be positioned around 9 or 10 o'clock and the right hand around 2 or 3 o'clock. Grasp the wheel firmly, but not too tight. This will provide you with a comfortable grip. The next time you're watching an IndyCar race on TV and they cut to an onboard camera, notice how the driver is holding the wheel. It'll be just like I described. That's because this grip can help you maintain maximum control of the car and minimize your reaction time to situations in front of you.
Finally, to really secure your seating position, lock the lap belt in place by depressing the cinch button on the retractor next to the seat. Now I like a really tight lap belt, so I move the seat back a little, then depress the cinch button, and then move the seat back to my normal driving position.
Your most important asset behind the wheel is your vision. 3 basic rules will help you be more aware of what's happening around you. Number 1, look down the road. Drivers who only look at what's directly in front of them spend a lot of their time reacting to the road. By looking ahead, you can do more planning. This results in a smoother, more controlled ride.
Secondly, allow your peripheral vision to help make you aware of reference points immediately around you, especially other cars.
And constantly use your mirrors to see if any cars are beside you or approaching from the rear. You should also know that in bright sunlight, some polarized sunglasses diminish LCD readouts. Choose a pair that provide you with the best view of Corvette's IP.
To get the full benefit of Corvette's anti-lock brake and acceleration slip regulation systems, there are some key things to remember. Both systems are designed to help enhance Corvette's all-weather driving capability and to help you maintain control of the car. But there are 2 important things to remember when driving a car with 4-wheel anti-lock brakes. First of all, keep braking and let the system pump the brakes for you. And secondly, concentrate on steering to avoid any possible hazards. Brake, keep braking, and steer around the obstacle. A common misconception that many people have is that ABS always helps you stop in shorter distances. In actuality, because ABS helps prevent wheel lockup, its benefit is that it allows you to maintain steering control. When Corvette's ABS is active, it's pumping the brakes several times per second. Now that's a lot faster than any driver ever could. You'll know the ABS is working by the pulsing you'll feel in the brake pedal, and the ABS active light will illuminate on the driver information center.
Corvette's ASR helps you maintain control when you're accelerating and when you encounter low traction road conditions. It automatically regulates throttle, spark retard, and brake pressure to maximize available traction. You'll know this system is active by the feedback you'll feel in the accelerator pedal. Simultaneously, the ASR active light will illuminate on the driver's information center. Because ASR is new and fully automatic, we've set up a demonstration to illustrate the difference in what happens to the car when the system is active and when it's turned off. In this demonstration, the car starts off on pavement, but at the point where the cones begin, the lane becomes genite, which is a special compound applied to the surface to make it slippery. This simulates what might happen if you hit an icy patch on the side of the road. Knowing that the road ahead is slick, John could control the car himself, but you don't always know when a low traction spot is coming. So he'll make 2 runs, attempting to maintain the same speed and acceleration. First, with ASR on. ASR helps you maintain control of the car on a slippery surface. This time, ASR is off. As you can see, the car is less able to handle the slippery surface. If you're driving with ASR off, you won't feel any pedal feedback.
In the last few minutes, we covered some of the basics that can make you a safer driver and help you maintain control of Corvette in a variety of road and weather conditions.
If you're interested in further developing your driving skills, we strongly encourage you to take a safety and performance driving course. There are many different schools in North America.
A local racetrack or a Corvette club should have more information about any programs in your part of the country.
So enjoy your Corvette.
It's a tremendous car.